What is the reality of why decisions are really made? Why are so many people confused and frustrated? It's all by design. So we live in a complicated world. So in order to understand that world, we have to understand what happens to the mindset when you get to the top, when you have to hold everything together and make compromises that other people don't want to know, and they sometimes pay you or vote you to not know. People are well aware that the government is funded by corporations and that the corporations control the government. We all know that. But we're in denial about just how powerful that is. We've created a really great illusion of democracy. And we call this the fat, dumb, and happy formula. And every society has a formula, and ours is the fat, dumb, and happy formula. Our fat, dumb, and happy pyramid works very well, but it's really only been around for 50 years. It's less than 100 years. We don't know what's going to happen to it. But the bottom line is that if you don't do it, you cannot compete. This is capitalism. This is the world that we live in. The United States' strength, its greatest asset, is also its greatest weakness. We have a meltdown happening in our world right now. How fast can we go into anarchy? What do we need to do to prevent that from happening? Because when everything comes crashing down, you want to make sure that you get a bigger piece of the pie. So I'm going to talk about two control strategies that can be used both to control countries as well as organizations and people. And that is debt and war. So when people are in debt, they're stuck in their jobs. They're frustrated. They're easier to control. So we want them to really focus on cars and houses and jewelry and toys from a very young age to define who they are. We want the personality that's good for the job and the lifestyle that limits their ability to find another job. For example, the most effective policy at ensuring this behavior is the No Child Left Behind. Remember, it's actually a lot easier to lower your standards, to raise the test results, than to actually improve the quality of the education, and it's much, much easier to manage. The school system is very, very good at socializing people. That's actually its primary function. And our primary mechanism for doing that is taking that natural joy that children have, that curiosity, and converting it into fear and competition. And one of the most important leverages we have is not what to teach, it's what not to teach. And here are some of the things we don't teach. Follow the money. Do not teach that. That politicians are talking to the bottom 50% of intelligence in our country. They're not talking to you. And the biggest decoy of all is political parties. So our strategy in dealing with political parties is we want to create the illusion of democracy. And the way we do that is we fund both sides. So regardless of who wins, our person is in power. The US population doesn't elect the president. We do. Information indicates that the probability of there being global warming is 85%. But let me tell you something that is 100% probability, is that we're going to make money off of it. That is a certainty. Create a crisis and become the solution to that crisis. But the idea is make sure people don't know that you're doing that. Some of the technologies don't work. It's incredibly inefficient. But what's the alternative? The alternative is to take all of these complicated issues, try to address them in a public forum, and then nothing will get done. So the pyramid, because of the consumer nature, takes away our sense of ourself. It leaves us empty. And so we really need to make drugs available to people to allow them to cope. Because if they didn't have this coping mechanism, they might discover what's happening to them. And this has been written about in science fiction books. But the remarkable thing is people don't realize that it's here right now. So now we're going to talk about the most important and powerful control mechanism of all, which is sex and sexuality. People want to feel powerful in a society where they aren't really powerful, and sex is the opiate of the masses. It's not religion, it's sex. It distracts and exhausts powerful people who are usually very much into pornography. We want to drive them into an addiction that has no end in sight, like kink. You have taken the red pill. You have eaten the red apple. You're in this room. We have opened the curtain to the way the pyramid works, the way we control corporations, the media, people, the government. You have eaten of the apple of enlightenment. You have all the tools you need to understand this clearly and to solve the problem. So understand the seriousness and the complexity of the problem as you play this game. Welcome to the God game.